Hey guys, it's me, Slugdog. I've wanted to die for around 3 years now, so before I do peacefully leave this world forever, I'm just gonna tell you guys about this new Rune page set up on Yorick that's super freaking good. And just from the fact that it hasn't been nerfed in like wait a shit, it's getting nerfed! It's getting nerfed next patch, guys! Well, shit. Well, it's okay because these nerfs don't actually matter that much. Actually, okay, they do matter. You probably won't go absorb life next patch. I'll bring up a Rune page on the screen right now of what I'd probably go next patch. Cut down nerf. It hurts a little bit, but honestly, it doesn't affect it. Anyways, this is gonna be. I'm gonna talk about it in the video, rooms and shit. All right, this is skibbity. If you look at my APG right now, you might see a lot of defeats. But the second thing you'll see is the fact that I go comet a lot now. In fact, I used to just recently almost go comet every game. That's weird, Slugdog. Don't you advocate for Conqueror like every game? And although I still think Conqueror is one of Yorick's best runes, I think Comet is incredibly powerful now and actually the most overpowered rune. So get with the times, loser! The reason Comet is such a good rune now and not before was because of recent changes and additions to the runes. We'll start with the base rune itself, the main hero of this rune page, Comet. Comet's just an amazing rune in Yorick. It's always been pretty amazing in general. It synergizes with Yorick's main damage poking tool. His E makes it so that getting hit by the E alone makes it really annoying poke that you kinda have to dodge, otherwise you're just gonna get poked out of lane. And boom, that's the entire purpose of the rune page. Video over. Okay, no, in all seriousness though, although the main point of Comet is essentially to make your E-poke a lot more threatening, and this is the best rune for it, there are a ridiculous amount of interactions that actually make this rune a lot better on Yorick than any other champion. Number 1. Comet can be procced by your ghouls and maiden. This makes it that you can pretty much spam Comet on cooldown provided your ghouls and maiden are hitting the enemy, which is not hard at all to do. This easy accessibility for something as simple as a stray ghoul that walked off to slap the enemy proccing Comet makes it really easy to get value out of.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Number 2. The second thing that makes Comet really good, and honestly the biggest reason, whenever your ghouls or maiden hits the enemy, it reduces the cooldown of Comet. Yes, every single little ghoul scratch, every single suck from maiden, boom, cooldown reduced. The reason this happens is because Comet has an effect where if you use a damage ability on the enemy, it reduces the cooldown of Comet itself, and because ghouls and maiden are considered abilities, boom, every time they attack and do damage, cooldown reduction. So now we have Comet that's not only really easy to proc, but whenever you do poke the enemy and proc it, it's also really easy to just get more uptime and getting it activating over and over again compared to other champions that actually use Comet. Say for example a champion like Sinja or Oriana who might use Comet and use a full combo, they will only get 1 proc and 2 at best. But someone like Yorick, because of the ghoul interactions, makes it so that you can get up to 3 or more procs in a single trade. And this only gets better with levels. Comet's cooldown scales with level, so by level 18, you'll be proccing this thing like a madman. The final small thing that sets the nail to the coffin of Comet, lethality and armor pen, applied to the Comet itself. Yippee! Comet damage never gets outscaled. OP. Anywho's moving on. Now that we established Comet is freaking good, we're gonna use every single rune in this rune page to facilitate Comet doing as much damage as possible. Let's go down the rune page one at a time, left to right, top to bottom. First up, Mobafire Band. This is gonna be our main mana source so that we can spam E to poke them in lane. Perfect, nice and simple. Hit enemy with ability, get mana, cool thing. Ghouls and maiden also procs it to give you mana, sweet. Second thing, transgenderism, or transcendence, or absolute focus. Both are fine. If we could absolutely focus on transgenderism, it'd be great. But unfortunately, I can't use this is not going in the video. Alright, Scorch! Extra damage to everything. Also applies in ghouls as well, so Scorch applies to ghoul hits, and actually it really hurts early game. This is one of the most vital little runes for this rune page because we want to have as much poke damage as possible. A lot of people suggest Gathering Storm as an alternative, but people don't understand that with Yorick, attack damage ironically doesn't actually work too well. Instead, a little spell effect like Scorch will give you much more value. Meanwhile, 5 of 13 AD isn't really gonna do much, and actually, the rune does absolutely nothing in the early game, which is what we want to help alleviate. Now, onto the precision tree. I talked about it before, but I'll say again quickly. There was a lot of changes in the mid-season to the precision tree, but the two main things are the addition of Absorb Life and the rework of Cut Down. Just kidding. Because Absorb Life is getting nerfed, we will not be going that rune anymore. It is getting a huge nerf. If they buff in the future after this patch, then maybe we'll go back to using it. I'll make a video on that when that happens. But we will now be going instead Presence of Mind or Triumph. I highly recommend Triumph. Triumph is just an effective rune for making comebacks and 1v2ing, and it's the premier rune for just clutching fights. It really helps with dives, it really helps for just team fight and skirmishes, and it's just a powerful rune in general. You can also go Legend Haste as well. Legend Haste just gives you more uptime on your E. Works perfectly with this comet page where you want to spam E and just poke the enemy as much as possible. Unfortunately though, Legend Haste doesn't apply to your ult, which does suck. However, this second rune, even with the nerf coming to it, Cut Down is insanely broken. Cut Down is simple. Do more damage to champions who are higher than 60% health. You might think, well, that doesn't seem that good. But the thing is, right, everybody starts off with the max HP when they get back to lane, when they teleport in, you know, and this really helps to lower the HP because once they get below 60%, then they have to play back, they have to play safer. And you're still gonna have a really effective poke setup to just get them even lower, right? The point is, if the enemy is full HP, they're not gonna be threatened by anything. So Cut Down will help get them to the point where they get scared because you're going to do so much more damage. All of these damage runes are really good individually and actually sometimes do more damage than Comet itself. But when you combine them all together, your E strategy becomes a nuke. All in all, this is a really high damaging and very powerful laning phase setup page for Yorick that also scales amazing. We have Mana Flow banned for sustain and mana, and also a lot of poke damage with just Comet, Cut Down and Scorch itself. The sustained damage is of course going to be weaker compared to something like Conqueror, but because Comet will proc so much times in fights, it's still going to do a lot of damage. This is a page much more specialized for Lethality and Bruiser, but if you go the Leandris Cleaver Shojin build, it is also incredibly powerful. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to go over some examples of how I use Comet in games and just explain how it's effective and blah blah blah. Enjoy the video. Okay guys, so I fucking lied. I just want to quickly go over a rune page that I currently go in, specifically high elo with Yorick. Because I play at Challenger, Grandmaster lobbies, and I play players that constantly play against me and kind of know how I play, I actually have to go bone plating, demolish, resolve secondary almost every game. And the main reason is just for the bone plating, that way I can actually fight back early game. So if you're really struggling with the early game and just like, okay, the enemy Camille, Darius, Jax just walks up level 1 to deny you farm, it's a really good idea to go bone plating just to survive it and so that you can actually contest them early on. This still does hella good poke damage, but it's just something that's worth trying out if you're struggling, you know? Go it if you're not having any problems like that. But I'm just letting you guys know, there are two alternative rune pages. If you're feeling cocky and ballsy, go this. If you're feeling a little bit, please don't hurt me, then you can go demolish bone plating. Alright, anyways, here's alrighty, so example 1. This is a really good demonstration on why Comet is actually really good. And this is me against the side lane, against the Z. And I'm pretty well farmed, I have decent farm and everything, you know, I put a few kills, but I'm stuck against this Izzy. I can't get past him even if I'm an item up because he has too much range and he has a lot of scary poke that I have to be wary of. So the way I have to play is I just use E to poke. and eventually the E poke, I miss it. He's good, these players are good, they know how to deal with it. But then he just gets caught by a stray maiden here, and then comet procs, and boom, it gets him low enough so that the ghouls can follow up with grudge and just finish him off. And I want you guys to just know, look back again. The comet does almost 100 damage if you look at it, and that's a lot of damage. That's like more than one ghoul at this stage of the game. And the entire point of the reason this being so strong is because something as small as letting a maiden hit you, that's Scorch, that's Comet, and if you're running cut down, that's cut down damage as well, and boom, all of a sudden that's extra 150 damage you're taking, and that is a really big threshold for something like the Fallacy Yorick, which is what works best with this build. This example here is the last example. I'm only going over 2 examples, but it is a really good demonstration and the exact reason why Comet is so overpowered. And that's, it completely helps facilitate the most scummy part of Yorick, and that's just Yorick's poke with ghouls and E and just Maiden. It is so obnoxious. And eventually this poke with Comet, Scorch, this damage combined of ghouls allows me to poke this puppy down so much that I get to just get her to an incredibly low amount. She's going full tank, by the way, and I know, oh, you could say, Slug Dog, you just Slug Dog, you're the best ever to do it, you know, not everybody could land like you. And yeah, you're right, I'm the fucking best, bitch. But the thing is, this just helps with just every time you land E, it's more deadly, and eventually you're gonna get to this point where, as long as you land just a few E's, you're gonna poke them down so much that it doesn't matter how bad you are, you can just kill them because they're so low, and then you just take their entire tower. And this is also the reason why I think Yorick is potentially, I wouldn't say he's good in pro play ever, he just sucks too much for that, but he's potentially pickable just because of the fact that this ghoul poke is so powerful. And yeah, so that's the entire reason why I think Comet is so good. Just the amount of damage you have in the early game, and you don't need to fight the enemy, that's the important part. Your ghouls, Comet does everything for you. It's really, really powerful, and I've said, why am I keep saying that? But I really highly recommend everybody to try it out at least a few games and see how you like it. For those that are used to Conqueror, it is a bit awkward getting used to the fact that your early game's quite a bit weaker in the all-ins, but trust me, when you start playing around Comet, when you start playing around the poke, you'll really, really notice how good it is. Anyways guys, okay, sorry. Anyways guys, I really appreciate everyone for coming in to watch my video. Have a great day everybody, and remember to flush your toilet. That was a bit, whatever.